All right. We're back.
We are back.
Again.
Yes. Round 3.
Round 3. It seems like we've had a lot of special guests lately. Mm-hmm. We have another extremely special guest.
Very.
So who is this this young, strapping fellow sitting between us?
This is Faja.
Yeah.
This is my dad.
It might be in a different language, I don't know. I'm Tony. Hey, how you doing?
So this is your dad.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think there was some contemplation on what to call this episode.
Quite some contemplation. We could have called it Blair's twin because pretty much you're seeing.
This is 30 years of time travel later, and this is what I look like.
Mm-hmm.
So.
My dad actually looks more like him.
Fantastic.
But what is that?
What is that?
This is what we're probably going
That's
to
the topic. What is that?
What is
okay.
that?
Great. So before we dive down in that topic, again, our little spiel is that if you're liking our podcast, please like, subscribe, comment. If you're not liking it, comment. Tell us how we can get better. Tell us what we can do to improve.
Yeah.
If you disagree with something, tell us why you disagree with it. Let's have a civil conversation about it, and we can maybe bring you on a podcast to have that conversation.
Discuss it. Yeah, we're so open. We welcome anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you listen to it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, again, subscribe, rate, share it. Share it from all these different platforms. We're growing. We're trying to grow, and we want to just keep getting better and kind of hear what you guys have to say about it.
Yes, exactly.
But now back to what is that?
What is that?
What is that? So before we dive down into that, so I guess to you, Tony, what is that? What does it mean? What does fatherhood mean to you?
It means pride and joy to me because I have tremendous love for Blair, and I also wanted to see him to succeed as much as possible. So I just feel like to be a dad, I'm here for him, and he always knows that.
Okay, Blair. So now you got to give me the heavy answer. So,
oh boy,
what has this man meant to you?
Dad is so much. I remember when I was in elementary school, and there would be a teacher that it wasn't the kids that were bad. Okay, it was the teachers. The teachers sucked. The teacher would write notes about me and be like, Blair, blah, blah, blah. Blair's ADD. You need to have him tested. And then eventually my dad was like, stop sending me notes. So Dad was the person that I could always count on to stick up for me, no matter what. And he was also someone that I could be open with. If I messed up about something, I knew that he wasn't going to see me any differently, and he was going to be there and have my back.
Okay. No.
And a little bit to add with that is, when I wrote her a note back, I pretty much said, do not write me another note unless you have something serious to tell me. So, I didn't get another note.
Yep. And this is also the man that just exemplified love to me as I was growing up to my mom. It's hard to describe and it's hard to explain, but it was something that you could feel between them, and I saw it from my dad so much, and it was something that I think that I kind of got as an example of him showing me that. So.
Wow. Okay.
Well, I also feel like that when I got married, it changed me so much, because it went from me being by myself to somebody that truly loved me. And she's always put a smile on my face. And I always
on our anniversaries, I always put that on Facebook, but it's just the truth. It's always made me smile.
I can attest to that. On both sides, I think my dad is the person that when you're angry, he will tell you a joke, and you'll like you can't help, you'll be angry. He told the joke because you want to be angry, but he told it, and you're like, ah shit, and then you just can't help but laugh, and it kind of just changes your anger into something else. My dad had that. And he would even push it, man. Like he would push. You're like, Dad, if you say one more thing, and then you start cracking up like 30 seconds later. So
That's because I would start laughing so much that I would make them laugh. And it was awesome, especially with Caroline. She would try to be where she would be upset, but she couldn't because I just laughed and everything with it, and she'd end up laughing too.
and if that's not love, that you can change how someone is feeling just by being yourself. You're just connecting with them on such a deeper level when you're able to do that, I think.
Okay, so I guess that brings me to the next question is, how do you feel about this young man sitting beside us? Like, 28 years raising him, like, who was he? What kind of child was he? And who's he become?
Well, I kind of compare him to who I was. And, I was a very good kid growing up till I was like 18 or 19 years old. And then I started being a partier and all. So I put my parents through so much. It was unreal. Today is different than it was back then because you could communicate so easily with text and things like that and all. And then, when I got married and I had a son and everything, and I was like, oh crap.
It's coming back.
This is going to come back and bite, But it never did because he never was a partier. He always listened to me, and it just really surprised me. Even when it got to be college and Georgia Tech, there was one time where I told him, I said, we need to make this hope where you can meet your grades because he was very close, and he listened to me, and it only took a small amount of hours because he was close, and it actually worked out. He listened to me. He didn't argue with me. And
wait, Blair didn't argue with you?
when you have a 21-year-old that's gonna listen to you when you're talking about money and all that, and he understood, this it's just something that most 21-year-olds don't do. They're gonna do what they want to do. But I just appreciate him listening to me so much that I don't know. He felt like I was a person that really understood money, and I don't really think I did, but I did understand what costs money and what what you can save money for. So
I feel like it's like 90% of money.
But growing up in sports and things like that, I always wanted to be there for him and everything, and I was. I also still think he could have been, if he really made his mind up, he could have been a better baseball player. But his mind was on lacrosse after he didn't make the baseball team, and that's what he loved. And the wife and I totally embraced the lacrosse. As rough as it was, because we kept him out of football, because we didn't want him to be playing any rough sport. And then the first game, they were just really knocking each other's heads off, But no, he's my pride and joy, just like my wife Caroline is, and he always knows that we are both there for him. It's a team effort. So, and that's he's the other thing that really comes out is that he's always invited us to go somewhere with his friends too. He's never been like, I don't want y'all around. He's always invited us to enjoy his friends, and his friendship. And that was very important to us because we know we didn't have to do that, but he's that kind of a son. He's that kind of person. So
You gotta share parents like I got.
True. Very true. Very true. Okay, so Blair, what has this man meant to you?
I don't know. That's something that I feel like you get to the point where words don't really do justice. We have just a very close-knit family. I don't know. Dad knows everything about me, pretty much. There hasn't ever been like times where I was like, oh, I can't tell Dad that. I've always felt like I could be open, just be myself, and I know that I have support no matter what decision I make. They just want me to be happy. So I don't know. I was raised to live without limitations or anything on myself, and just they encouraged me to go after what I wanted, and I have, and I've accomplished that with their love and support.
Wow. Okay. So that's the past. As you can see, I have a pattern about,
Yes.
about how I'm structuring these questions. So now the present. So 28-year-old Dr. Smith. This man Tony, he will tell everybody and their mothers that his son is Dr. Smith. It's like you said, his pride and joy is like not an understatement when he said that. So how do you feel about, you raised them, and now he's at this point in his life. So how do you feel about the journey he's been on? And then you, Blair, how do you feel that your father helped you get on this journey? Like, it's still helping you to move forward in your journey.
Well, first of all, when he was applying for med school and everything, and he got accepted to St. George, the first thing I asked him was, "Are you prepared to owe $300,000 to $400,000 to pay back?" I didn't realize that $304,000 was going to gain interest and climb all the way up here.
Yes, it has.
And his answer was that God's telling me to do this. Good. With that answer, that was it. I knew that's what he wanted to do. So we both patted him on the back and said, "Go for it."
Yeah, send him overseas or underseas. I don't know, down south in the Caribbean.
Yeah, exactly.
He had other reasons why he wanted to be a doctor too. I don't know if we've told you before, but Caroline's dad passed away of cancer, and he made a promise then that he was going to end up one day finding a cure. So when he was 9 years old, it actually, I think it changed his grades. I mean, he was still doing good, but when he decided that he wanted to be a doctor and eventually most likely cure cancer, his grades went straight up and stayed up. And I don't know, he totally grew from that. Just because he didn't think that he did enough for his papa. So proud of him now. I don't want to try to put pressure on him, but I also know with him, the sky's the limit.
See, how can you not succeed and be whoever you want to be with people like I have? I truly wish everyone had the parents that I do. you don't have limits when you have my parents. I think Dad's always trusted me with my decisions, and even to this day, like he'll give me his opinion on something, and then it'll always go back to, but you know it's your decision. And at the end of the day, I know whether I go with what his opinion was or whether I go the other way, he's still there for me. I think that's something that honestly is sorely lacking in parenthood. I think a lot of parents think that if their child doesn't do what they, told them to, they kind of can withdraw a little bit, and that's not something that I ever felt or went through. So I was always had support.
There was one time I really got upset at
See, this is what I wanted to hear.
Okay.
Yes.
and you were probably around at that time.
Oh, is this the apartment?
Yes.
Oh, yes. All right, you guys want to hear this one?
No.
But you also can see how I jumped in after that, because
Be careful.
he was really good friends with this guy. It was his best friend, I think, at the time. Okay. And I think you were his best friend too, but this is when he met.
I usurped him.
No.
I think that's what happened.
Probably.
But Blair was graduating 6 months before the other two guys were, and he was living in a house that was a pretty good deal and everything. And so he knew that he was going to be out in 6 months after that. Well, so the renter guy was the tenant. I think it's called the tenant.
The leaser.
The leaser.
The landlord.
Landlord. He sent him a letter saying you need to renew your thing. Your lease is going to be up in next month. So his best friend talks him into signing the lease and said, "Oh, we'll work with you and everything, and we'll help you find a roommate to where let's go ahead and sign it." Well, Blair, he's very, very soft-hearted, as you know, and he will do anything for anybody, as you know.
Yep.
So, he says, "Okay, I'll go ahead and sign." Well, we didn't really know about it, and then come time 6 months, he can't get out of the lease, And when he called me and said, "Dad, I can't get out of the lease," and I said, "What'd you do?" He said, "I signed it out and I lost it, I lost it for like probably 3 minutes. I think it really hurt him the way I really jumped on it. I think it's probably the first time I ever really did that.
21 years, one jump down. I feel like that's a good track
Yeah.
It's a
record.
good ratio.
And all, but it ended up working for the best because Caroline's cousin was a lawyer. He was an attorney, and what had happened was Blair found somebody that was interested in the apartment, and those guys, they evidently had the option of saying, "No, we don't feel comfortable with him." And so we told Caroline's cousin that. He said, "I'll tell you what," he said, "tell him to go ahead and ask to sign the lease or
Put an application.
put an application in."
Yep.
And when he put the application in, the first thing within the next day, the landlord called those two guys and they said, "Okay, now I want to know what you have against these guys. This person that wants this apartment." So they come back and said, "We don't really have anything against him." So it ended up happening. But that was the only time I really lost it with him. And it kind of surprised me how it affected him when I jumped all over him. But to go with the other part is that I actually, during that time, during that period, I had actually called his best friend, and so his best friend knew what was up. So so he calls his daddy. And by the time when the daddy called me, and by the time I got done with the daddy, he knew how serious I was because he was trying to tell me, how Blair was in the wrong. But when I got done with him, he pretty much knew that it was all on his son, So, but that's another way of, don't mess with my wife. And don't mess with my son. Because
I was about to say, we have Mama Bear, and we also have Papa Bear over here, Don't be the ones who eating the porridge.
I'm not going to
get kicked out the house.
I'm not going to be physical, but I have ways to talk to you that will, in my past experience,
shut you down.
Somehow you listen. And you understand what I'm saying to you.
He's the Godfather. Oh man.
You know the other thing I love with my dad? He can get angry, but he'll be angry for a total of like 10 seconds. I don't know if you've ever seen my dad angry, but it doesn't happen very often.
Unless it's sports.
Yeah, sports is different.
Yeah.
My wife will think I'm going to have a heart attack.
Or a Braves game. Yeah.
My wife will think I'm going to have a heart attack when I'm watching the Kentucky Wildcats and I get upset at the referees. She'll tell me to turn TV off.
Yep, that has happened. But you'll be mad for all of 10 seconds, and all of a sudden you'll go back to being this calm, loving person. And I think that that's something that I kind of picked up from you too. Like, I hold grudges, I do, but they have to be like over something very serious, right? Mm-hmm. Otherwise, if it's moderately serious or not serious, it's something I can let go of pretty easily. You just kind of like let it flow off of you, and I think that's something I learned from him too, which is really helped me in life, because I think a lot of times people take things to heart too much, and they kind of let it impact like how they're feeling and like how they're really doing in the day. But I kind of learned from him to like, it's okay to go into that emotion a little bit. It's okay to express it a little bit, but always come back to who you are and go about your day being yourself.
So that time when he did get on you,
Oof.
how did it affect you seeing your dad in wearing this new hat?
It was bad. I don't know. Like, okay, Cosby Show, right? Where
disappointment, and
I was just kind of like, and it was something. It was even more that it was something.
We have to clarify that reference. So there's a Cosby Show episode.
Yeah, you probably didn't clarify.
There's a Cosby Show episode where the dad, so Elvin is in the hospital having his children because his wife is pregnant with and he is freaking out. He's like hyperventilating, he's fainting and stuff like that, and like he's talking with Heathcliff, Bill Cosby's character, and he's like, "Sorry, Dad." And Heathcliff Huxtable just looks at him with this look of disappointment. He's like, it's one of the best looks in yes. TV cinema. So anytime me and Blair say just the Bill Cosby disappointment look, it was so much disappointment in that look.
Yes.
So yes, sorry. Continue on.
So I was gonna say it was even like more so because it was over a value that I hold dearly, which is like almost like trusting people with abandon, which is a really dumb thing to do, but it was just something that was like part of like who I was at the time, like really deeply caring and being like, okay, if it's gonna help us out, let's do it. I'm good. And then it came back 6 months later, and I'm like being berated by saying like, why did you trust these people? And I was kind of like, that's who I like. It felt like it was an attack on who I am, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I mean, I screamed in that phone. You were there. You were in that room. I don't remember what I said, but I was like top of my lungs screaming in the phone.
Until this moment, I forgot that I was actually
You were in that room.
I was in the room.
When
you had that phone call. I was.
Yeah.
This was in the office, the PT office, personal trainer office.
I remember yes, exactly. I remember when I got the phone, you were like, well, buddy?
I think I actually looked outside to make sure that like nobody started coming into the office because this
no one's dying. Yeah. There was but I haven't
Probably
had many of
first
those.
and only.
Yeah, I was saying I haven't had many of those experiences. It's few and far between when I've had something like that happen. And even when that did happen, like we came and we talked about it, and we came to this point of being like, okay, I understand that I probably should have done something different, and you understand that I had the best intentions in mind, and it was something that you still love. You love that about me. So,
We raised him right.
Just a little bit. Okay. Fantastic. All right. So now, past and present, it's definitely covers. Now, future. Where do you see your son going in the future? And I don't know. How do you think your dad's going to get you there along the way?
As I said, the sky is the limit, and I mean, I totally believe that. You know, he's told me, you know, I'm gonna buy you and Mom a big house and everything. Me and Mom don't need a big house. Me and Mom have pretty much what we want. You know,
what if it's a big house?
Well,
Yeah.
we're gonna go for that. But you know, I always think that you know God's gonna give us what God wants to provide to us. You know, and I feel like we can handle it on our own, and I don't want him thinking about providing for us. Or even though I know he feels that we, you know, how much we've loved him and how much we've given him love. And I mean, we're not rich, so we didn't give him that much. You know, he might disagree with that. When I say give him that much, I mean financially and stuff. Okay. So, you know, I already said I don't want to put any more pressure on him because I think he can do whatever he puts his mind to. And I kind of feel like, in a way, he's already proved that. He will tell you no, but we will tell you that, you know, just conversations that, you know, we hear him say, even, you know, from doctors and things like that, you know, he shares with us and all. I just, you know, and I'm going to be proud of him no matter what, but I'm excited to see what the future brings for him because he has so many aspirations, and he you know, he shares that with us, you know. You know, he's talking about being the hospitalist, and he's also talking about, you know, some other things that he wants to do, but you know, the PRI thing is still pushing him a good bit, and that's he talks about that probably once every week or 2 weeks, you know. So I know that's also his go, and you know, if he can help people, that's really in a lot of pain, to help take that pain away, whether it's, you know, anywhere on their body that PRI can help. That's what his real goal is, I think, you know. And I know he's probably talked to you about that before too. But his main goal is to help people that are in pain. You know, when he was, before he found out how much expensive it was to be a doctor and all that for St. George and everything, you know, he was acting like, you know, I don't really care how much money I make or whatever. But now he wants to make money so he can help people, so he can take their pain away, their physical pain away. You know, people that have back surgeries and knee surgeries and things like that, he thinks he can help them without that. So that's why I say the sky is the limit, and he's going to do whatever he makes his mind up that he wants to do. So.
Well, I think when you're a child who has great parents, it really becomes hard to not give your parents what you believe they deserve. So even though you can say that, like, I didn't, you know, you didn't give him the most, like, financially, it's like when you have a parent and you see them as a king and a queen, but they didn't sit in the palace, it's like if you can get them that palace, you're going to give them that palace. because that's like the least you can do almost. It's like money is nothing. Like what you gave him was nothing. Like what you gave him financially had nothing to do with anything. Like the fact that you sacrificed and how much you did for him, it's like, can I get you a palace? Can I get you that lake house that you wanted? And then for me, it's like, okay, I'll make more money. But if I can have you have 30, 40 years in this lake house and you see out the rest of your life with the sunset going down over that lake, that's worth anything.
I think he wants to buy us that lake house so he can have this house.
I wouldn't say no.
I mean, this is a great house.
It's his memories. We've been living there for 31 years. You know, that's his memory. That's all his memories and you know, what he thinks about it and everything. And we've told him that we'd probably sell our house if we bought a house on the lake or something. And he says, no, either that or I'm going to buy it from you.
All right, we got a plan.
We got a plan. Okay. I mean, do I even need to say more about, you know, him guiding me through my future?
How do you want him to guide you through your future? Would you want this? Because relationships have to evolve and grow. You know, we should always be growing in our relationship. So how does that growth look as you being a grown man, being Dr. Smith, and having a father who's willing to do whatever to help you out?
I think it's just being there, day in, day out, coming back, talking about what's going on, you know, what's in my mind, what I'm going through and every day, and just telling me what he thinks, what he feels, and what directions, you know, which he's always been the kind of person that kind of like, well, this is what I feel, and that's something that I will never take for granted. He's always been a guide for me, and that's something that I want to continue to have. So.
Wow. So I can say a little anecdote about you, Tony. So throughout this time that I've known Blair, one of the big things that I've really enjoyed about him having you as a father is that, like, no matter what you guys were doing as a family, you always felt that you wanted to include me. 'Cause again, you know, to a certain extent, we're just starting off as friends in Georgia Tech. So it's like, obviously I enjoy you. Obviously we spent all that time at Georgia Tech, but it's like when you meet family, it's like that's like a sacred barrier. And so it's like, you know, are they actually gonna like me? Like, you know, what's gonna be, how is this gonna formulate our friendship going forward? And you, Tony, you were just always like, if the Smiths were doing something, it was like, it wasn't even just like I was invited. It was like I was a part of the Smiths.
It was assumed.
Yeah, exactly. She was like, oh, we're going to a baseball game. You know, when's Enoch getting off so he can be there? Like, when do you have to do this? And you know, that just made me feel like having a home away from home. So this is like my North Georgia home. That's what I think about this. You know, I live in South Georgia. This is my North Georgia home, and it's nice to know that, hey, if I needed to crash my head or come to this place, I could come here and like I'm not missing a blip from, you know, my other family, which I can't tell you how much that just means. Even the fact that, like I said, you guys have brought me in to meet, you know, like, you're a mom. I mean, so Carolina's sitting right over here. She's listening to it. You guys can't see her, but the fact that you guys, and you told your family about me, like, and that those kind of conversations is just I mean, it's shocking in the best of ways. Like, I didn't realize. Honestly, I don't know if I realized how important me and Blair's friendship was until I saw how you guys felt about me. Because then that must have meant that, like, wow, like, yeah, we're definitely best friends. You know?
Yeah, you carried to Blair through so much. We both know that. Both know that. But, you know, I love you like a son. But I also love every one of Blair's friends, like they're my daughter or my son. And there's It's the reason why I love karaoke. It's because it's friends or family. They're all family, and I absolutely love when you come. You know, I don't think you've missed it because you're part of us.
You haven't.
I haven't missed one.
And
Keep it up.
other friends are part of us too. But you know, you've been there before Blair. Period. You know, even when he went to Grenada, I think it was pretty much every Sunday night. There was one Sunday night that we couldn't get a hold of Blair. We couldn't get a hold of Blair. And so we called you, and you couldn't get a hold of him either. You know, I think he fell asleep is what it was.
Yeah.
But we knew that was Sunday night, and you know, you kind of missed out on him and all. But you know, we kind of knew that you know, okay, and he can't get a hold of him either, so we really got worried about it. You know? But he had actually just fell asleep. But you know, I know that you've been there so many different things, not just girl things, but you know, spiritual things and stuff like that. That you were so strong with him, and y'all talked so much and everything. You know about, you know, pretty much about anything. You know, there's not you know any off limits or anything. You know, and that's why y'all grew so close. And you know, friendship is so strong because when I say friendship, I mean a true friend. And that's when you know, a lot of times you find out sometimes whether you have true friends or whether they're just there because, you know, obstacles hadn't jumped in the way. And he knows about that too, okay? So, you know, we love anybody that has really been truly close friends with him, and he's had a few of them, you know, but you've always been there. So, you know, that's the reason why, you know, I smile when Caroline says, you know, he's my son too, you know, and we want you to feel that way. We definitely want you to feel that way.
Well, I've never not felt that way. I can tell you that right now. Since our first Braves game. Like, again, we were talking about it before. They have a picture of us at our first Braves game, and I'm more in the picture than Blair is.
Yeah. So you took a better picture.
He was ready for the game.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so I think this brings us to our favorite part of the podcast: movies, television. We always have a segment.
Mm-hmm.
So, Tony, what are a few of your favorite movies?
Well, I think one of them, and I'm sure he thinks that's the first one I'm gonna say. Well, there's a couple of them.
Yeah.
But they're not movies; they're series. I think he mentioned Chuck, earlier.
I gotta
But-
watch Chuck now.
Right, you got 3
I
recommendations.
heard 3 times about Chuck.
But I think my favorite one was The Mentalist.
He
Yes.
loves the Mentalist. Oh my god. Okay, I really gotta watch these shows
I
now.
don't know. I'm almost ready to watch it again.
Yes! I'm so up for that. So up for it.
Let's go.
Ready. Let's start now.
Now, the one that we just got finished watching was The Blacklist, and it's going to be in another season in a little bit. So
I've heard great things.
that's one of our
It's
things
good.
that we do now. You know, he's studying for his step 3, and he watches one episode a night before he goes up there and studies. It's more or less what you call family time, and we're still lucky to have him for family time. You know, so we're going to enjoy him as much as we can until he, finds somebody special.
It just grows from there, as Mom was saying, you got grandbabies running around.
Yeah.
So that would be a whole different transition. A whole different kind of new pride to kind of bring into
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm just gonna move into the lake house with you guys. Have the Rugrats there and everything.
Yeah, you can just stay here and just move the Rugrats. Why else gonna be here? Oh wow. Okay, so I definitely gotta watch Chuck now and Mentalist. Again, I think we've said several podcasts about this. So it will happen. It will definitely happen.
Yeah.
Sometime. Sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Okay. think this is our final segment of the podcast.
Yes. Last question.
Yes. What did you learn about me and Blair today from doing this podcast?
I don't think there's much more to learn, so I gotta think about that.
It's okay.
It's actually a rather hard question, and every time it's asked between one of us, honestly, I have to dig,
Yeah.
pretty hard, because we've known each other for
8 years.
some time, and we've had very deep and intimate conversations at that time. There's not a whole lot that we don't really know about each other when it comes to who we are and what drives us and whatnot. So
I knew he got upset at me, but I didn't know he got that upset at me.
He was pretty mad. He was
So
pissed.
that's what both of you is. I really didn't realize that you were with him at the time, and I was so frustrated that he let somebody pull something on him, But I do understand why. I understand who Blair was at that time, and you got to learn as you get older that you can't trust everybody. And I mean, this guy was his best friend at the time, and he thought he was his best friend, but when big money came in between them, that's when you found out that he wasn't his best friend.
Yeah, that's when true friends.
So, yeah, I think it was, and I probably hurt him. I knew I hurt him at the time. I knew I hurt him, but I really didn't know he was that upset at me. I knew he was upset, but not like that. So.
it hurt.
Yeah.
Well, it's because he had never heard me get onto him like that.
It's a very infrequent thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But sometimes you need it. I bet you have made a mistake like
Like
that.
kick in
ever
the
since.
pants. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't trust you.
Yeah,
Nope.
yeah. You replace your best friend at that point.
Well, let's be honest. You were always number one, but he was a close second, and
Yes,
he
was.
just kind of dropped off after that. So.
But it's just a shame that when you can be best friends and it wasn't even that much money. All they
Yeah.
had to do was help me find somebody else. Okay.
Like they said they were going to.
Like they said they were going to. And then the way he reacted to it.
Yeah.
That's when you found out that he really wasn't your best friend or a true friend. Because a true friend's going to stick with you. Okay?
Yeah.
So.
Very fair.
Mhm.
I have nothing else to say. Do you have anything else to say?
I think that covers it.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, like, subscribe, rate, share, comment, do all those things. Help us grow this podcast. If you really like it, tell your friends why you like it. If you really don't like it, tell us why you don't like it, and we'll try to.
You can improve it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless why you don't like it is not a good reason, and we don't want to listen to that reason.
Yeah. We do reserve that right.
You deserve that right.
But
So,
be a part of it. Be a part of breaking and entering. Breaking and entering to us is breaking down obstacles and barriers and entering into the hearts, minds, souls, whatever, of everyone who's a part of this. And we can all just connect with each other.
well put. So as always, I'm Enoch.
I'm Blair. And this was Who's Your Daddy?
See ya.